This is KGW News at Sunrise.
The sobering stories out of Idaho about hospitals rationing care right now because of an overwhelming number of COVID patients has people wondering what local hospitals will do if the same set of circumstances happens here.
A pandemic is the time when you absolutely need crisis standards of care in place. And so for us not to have them right now is really troubling.
We'll let you know what the crisis plan looks like for Oregon hospitals coming up. Plus,
and my boyfriend was trying to fight with them. A witness was trying to help. It was just pure chaos, and I don't think it lasted more than 2 minutes.
One of the victims of a Tuesday robbery describes the frantic ordeal along a popular walking trail in Tigard.
and we also have this story coming up from the small town of Otis along the Oregon coast, where this time last year, nearly 300 homes were lost at the hands of the Echo Mountain Complex fire. But this morning's story is about the rebuild and how the people who live in Otis came together to make it happen.
And we want to start with a great Friday view of the city to start the push to the weekend. Thank you for tuning in with us here on Sunrise. Yes, it is Friday.
Yes.
And yeah, you're watching some much needed rain.
So I remember in weather school, the professor said, if you graduate someday, you'll get to show the radar live on TV. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Doing it now.
We're doing it today.
We're doing it live.
So please understand that if you're watching us from Salem, Portland, up into Vancouver, we're kind of on the back side of this, and maybe we're totally outside of the rain area. But this is great news from much of our state. Soaking rains in Bend right now, where air quality across parts of Deschutes County has already been improved into the moderate range. Here's a closer look. We do have rain out in the gorge right now. Hood River, good morning. Pretty good rain. Look at that. That's heavy pockets. Stevenson, it's light rain, so you've got to get into the gorge itself past Troutdale to pick some of that up. But you can see, Sandy, good morning. You're pretty close to the rain zone. So east of I-5, there's certainly a reasonable chance for maybe some light shower activity today. Right now it's cloudy in Portland, 60 degrees at the bus stop. We'll carry a shower chance, but mainly dry weather expected. 65 at noon, only 69 when the kids get out of school. That's your forecast.
Yeah, big difference. All right, Rod, thank you. We've been talking about the COVID outbreak in northern Idaho and how it's made doctors go into crisis mode at those hospitals to care for as many people as possible.
And while that's happening there, we found out that here in Oregon, crisis care guidance for hospitals looks a lot different. And as Catherine Cook reports, that's a big concern for some local healthcare workers.
With COVID cases surging in Idaho's panhandle and hospitals there exceeding capacity, the state of Idaho just activated its crisis standards of care. That means care is not guaranteed for everyone. Instead, doctors are advised to treat patients who are most likely to survive, not those whose conditions are most critical. The goal there is saving as many lives as possible while space is limited. But in Oregon, such crisis care standards no longer exist.
A pandemic is the time when you absolutely need crisis standards of care in place. And so for us not to have them right now is really troubling.
Becky Hultberg is president and CEO of the Oregon Association of Hospitals and Health Systems. She says having a crisis standards document is important for healthcare workers in Oregon and patients. She believes everyone should understand how care will always be delivered when resources can no longer meet demand.
But we're not having to allocate a scarce resource like a ventilator at this point. But having the guidance in place gives clinicians the path forward to making these really tough decisions.
Oregon had a crisis standards of care document with that guidance in 2018. But last year, the state said that document was discriminatory. In December, the Oregon Health Authority replaced the crisis standards document with a set of 4 crisis care principles, which they developed with community input. Those principles are non-discrimination, health equity, patient-led decision-making, and transparent communications. In a statement to KGW, the Oregon Health Authority said in part, hospitals can implement crisis care standards on their own, and triage decisions are just one step Oregon empowers hospitals to take to respond to a public health crisis. They can suspend elective procedures, alter staffing, and take other steps that can help prevent hospitals from reaching a point where they are forced to ration care. They do not need to rely on a declaration from state health officials. While Hultberg agrees the 2018 guidance needed revision, she believes the state still needs actual crisis care standards for now and in the future.
we have to be prepared for our hospitals to respond if we see another surge or if we see an earthquake or some other kind of natural disaster.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Well, the number of COVID cases in Oregon has started to decrease over the past week, but the number of hospitalizations and deaths has gone up. The Oregon Health Authority reported more than 2,400 new cases and 21 new deaths. Only one of those was in Multnomah County. Hospitalizations remain high throughout the state, with more than 1,100 people seeking care in a facility. Of those, 291 are in intensive care.
Yesterday morning at this time, we told you about the infant who died from COVID complications earlier this week in Southern Oregon. We now know that child, who was less than a year old, also had underlying health conditions. Oregon's senior health advisor addressed the baby's death yesterday.
As a parent, I can say that is very sad. No parent should ever have to bury their child. I feel for those parents. My heart aches for those parents, and I'm very, very sorry for your loss.
This is the third time a child younger than 9 has died with COVID in Oregon. The Oregon Health Authority also says it is seeing a rise right now in pediatric cases. Symptoms in babies and young kids are the same ones we see in adults. They include fever, fatigue, general weakness, and respiratory issues.
Well, the Republican National Committee says it is going to sue over President Biden's newly announced plan to reduce COVID cases.
Yeah, the president signed 2 executive orders aimed at increasing the number of people who are getting vaccinated and also pushing for more testing. President Biden is now calling for employers with 100 or more workers to require vaccines or at least weekly testing. He's also now requiring vaccines for the vast majority of federal workers and contractors. And the White House plan for booster shots calls for them to be available by September 20th.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you. If you want to work with the federal government and do business with us, get vaccinated.
Well, the head of the Republican National Committee calls Biden's mandate unconstitutional, and other critics are calling it government overreach. We reached out to the city of Portland, Multnomah County offices, and the Oregon Health Authority, but none of those agencies are prepared to comment yet on how the president's mandate may play out locally. We are asking you, though, what you think this morning. Do you agree with this new vaccine mandate for larger companies? Just opened up the poll a few minutes ago, and you see right there, 2/3 of the Sunrise audience, at this point anyway, says, yes, we do agree with this national vaccine mandate. You can weigh in right now by searching for KGW Sunrise on Twitter. This poll is pinned to the top of our Sunrise page. We're going to check in on this poll throughout the course of the morning.
Starting Monday, everyone will be required to wear masks at large outdoor events in Washington. Health officials say it comes after 5 outdoor events in the state became super spreaders. Governor Inslee's order applies to crowds over 500, whether you're vaccinated or not. Same goes for the indoor mask mandate that went into effect last month.
A Tigard woman is speaking out now after she says 2 men robbed her and her boyfriend along a popular trail in their neighborhood. Margot Miam says they were walking home Tuesday night after dinner on the Fano Creek Trail right near Southwest Johnston and Grant Avenues. And that's when she says 2 men got out of a truck and robbed them.
And I just kind of freeze. So they like drag everything off of me, like my purse, my lanyard. At some point, my glasses got torn off of my face as well. And my boyfriend was trying to fight with them. A witness was trying to help. It was just pure chaos. And I don't think it lasted more than 2 minutes.
The witness who tried to help told that couple about another robbery that happened in the same area about a month and a half ago, although we don't know if these 2 cases are at all related. Police say the robbers in this case drove away in a navy blue Ford F-150 or 250 with tinted windows and maybe a canopy. If you have any information about this case, you're asked to call Tigard Police.
Well, the Newburgh School District is considering adjusting its new rule that bans so-called political flags, and that includes the pride flag and others with the message Black Lives Matter. Last month, the school board made national news by enacting this ban, and since then, multiple protests have been carried out. The ACLU of Oregon has threatened to sue, and then Thursday, a committee updated the language used in the motion and sent it back to the full school board. One of the changes they made was so complaints from students and staff would not be anonymous.
All right, we have one wildfire update for you this morning. The Lake County Sheriff's Office has increased evacuation levels as the Cougar Peak Fire grows in southern Oregon. It's nearly doubled in size from 20,000 acres yesterday to now 37,000 acres. Firefighters from other parts of the state have been called in to help, including crews from Clatsop, Lane, Lynn, Yamhill, Clackamas counties. We have more information coming up on this a little bit later. But Rod, we know there's no end date, so to speak, for wildfire season, but the one thing that will help is the rain.
Yes, and again, my weather story today is largely not Portland, not Salem, where it'll be mainly dry, but the rest of our state and how wonderful the rain is. Take a look at the radar moving south up to the north-northeast. The disturbance tracks from about Medford out toward the Blues into LeGrand today. So this is going to be where the heart of the rain is really cutting across the central part of our state. Good rain, though, as far north as Hood River and even north up into parts of Skamania County, up in the Gorge. There's Parkdale, raining up on Mount Hood right now. Sandy, you're just on the outside, and if you live anywhere getting up into the Cascade foothills in eastern Marion, Clackamas, Multnomah County, you have a reasonable chance to pick up at least some light rain at some point today. Here's right now Mount Jefferson raining. Sisters are getting great rain. Madras coming down pretty heavy right now, in fact. Sweet Home, you're just on the outside of some light rain. The cloudiness is pretty solid this morning, and with that, the warmer numbers, 61 in Kelso, 60s all the way down to Eugene on the current forecast map. So here are some numbers for your Friday. The coast, we're carrying a trace of rain, maybe. But generally, this is a cloudy day with late day clearing and temperatures in the 60s with light winds. It's already raining from Hood River all the way out to the Dalles this morning, so rain at times out in the gorge. Westerlies this afternoon will be picking up a bit, and the temperatures there will be on the cooler side than they have been. And again, struggling just to get up to 70 down in Salem, McMinnville, and Corvallis. A shower is the best chance on the east side out near the Cascades, as I mentioned. Similar conditions up in southwest Washington, Vancouver, 73. So 73 for Portland today, mainly dry. Don't be shocked if you see a light shower pop. Some clearing tonight, partly cloudy both days this weekend, 78 and 78. And by the way, I'm putting together a graphic right now that shows what could be soaking rainfall, much of not this weekend, but next weekend. I'll have that later in the show.
Yeah, and don't be shocked when you see the rain. You should be happy when you see the rain. We really need it, Rod. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back here on Sunrise, we're going to continue our week-long look at the historic wildfires that devastated Oregon and southwest Washington this time a year ago. This morning, our focus is the Oregon coast and the small town of Gates. We're going to see how neighbors there have helped one another rebuild. Plus, we know more and more businesses are now requiring people to show proof of vaccination. The questions, though, are very many in number, and we're going to answer some of your questions. Our Verify team answering some of your frequently answered or asked questions, that is, about these brand new requirements.